So I had the most profound pregnancy. I can say that things were quite positive. I went through it in a nice mental state, and I had really good support. And interestingly, after the entire 9 months, and now I have the baby, and I was staring at this little stranger, and I called my mom one morning, and I wept. I didn't even cry, but I wept because nothing could have prepared me for this sort of like loss. I just felt lost in myself. I felt like I didn't know myself anymore, and it was just so terrible. Hello beautiful people, welcome to my channel. My name is Flash. If you're new here, please make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification bell because you don't want to miss more content like the one that I make. So anyway, let me get straight into the story. 2017, got pregnant with a little boy, and it's only after I had a baby that I realized we do not have enough conversations about what actually happens to people afterwards, and the kind of loss and the kind of journey you have to take to really discover yourself. So I got pregnant in 2017, and it's interesting, we need to have more of these conversations. I got pregnant in 2017, early 2017, and then I eventually had my baby in September of 2017. Now my pregnancy was quite well. I think everything was quite positive. I read this book called The Supernatural Childbirth, and I think everyone who is pregnant, if you're a spiritual person, you really need to read this book because it really kept me centered, it kept me positive, and I really had the most beautiful, how can I call them, I had a really beautiful delivery, like the one they say in the Bible of the Hebrew women. I prayed for that, and God really came through and delivered that for me, and I thank him for that. Now, after the baby was, after the whole delivery, I went back home, and then everything was nice. Then, and it's so interesting, it's not even because that I didn't have support. I had people around me who were helping me, so I even barely did anything the very first week. But one morning, I stared at my child, and I could not hold back. Have you ever had that thing, that build up from your stomach? I had this build up from my stomach, and I could not even explain what it was. It was not anger. It was not sadness. I was happy, but I was crying. Not even crying, but I was weeping. And I called my mom, and I just cried. And she listened. And you might wonder, okay, why would she cry? But then I think it was just I didn't understand myself anymore. Just a week into my postnatal to heal, and I just felt lost. I was home all the time. I just felt like I didn't even have freedom to like move around or even be able to do anything, and I just felt so confined. And I felt so suffocated, and I didn't feel annoyed at the child, but at the same time I just felt angry, and I felt all types of things that I didn't understand. And I remember my mom spoke to me through it, and by the end of the conversation I was actually laughing. And it's after that time that I recognized the feelings that I was having, and I realized these feelings were going to come back, and I needed to do something about it. So when I learned that I needed to do something about this, I realized that there was a new girl that I had. There was a new baby in town. There was a new lady in town. There was a new woman in town, and I needed to know who she was. And besides all that, besides feeling lost, I looked at myself in the mirror. And I think I used to have this routine in the morning where I would stare at myself in the mirror, almost like in shock. And I would look at my body, and I would look at my stomach with all the countless wrinkles on my tummy, and I always used to think to myself that my stomach looked like an old lady's face, like a very old lady's face. And that's how I saw my stomach every day, and that contributed to I wouldn't call it misery, but let's say that contributed to some of the things that I was feeling. And I kept on asking myself, what can I do to make myself feel better? At exactly 6 weeks, I decided to start exercising. That helped a lot in terms of helping to keep me centered. It helped me to feel a little bit about myself. The negative emotions that I had brewing up on every single day, they kind of reduced. And sometimes, the negative feelings would come because of overwhelm. You're feeling tired, you've not slept, you have to feed the baby, like you cannot even take care of yourself. So it's, all these feelings that you're feeling at once, and they just get you to feel like, And then, just exercising would calm my mind. I slept better after exercising. I felt better. I had more energy because, you have to carry the baby, feed them, do what, the whole run around. And it helped me, to have like more energy to be able to do the daily tasks of, like mom. So eventually when I went back to work, I think like 4 months postpartum is when I went back to work. And, I was well balanced. I could be able to juggle everything between being mom and then, being an employee. I was doing well. And then after a few weeks, I realized that my life was all about like, my life between home and my life between work. Like that was where my life was. The moment I would finish work, I would hurry. Like I would literally hurry. Like I need to go home. Like I need to go home. I need to go home. Like it's almost like, like I had kept something at home and I was just rushing to go back home and get it. And it's not really like I had guilt doing anything or even going out to do things that I wanted to enjoy. But I completely forgot about that life. I completely forgot about the life of like normal living, like besides, having a child. I had completely forgotten about the life, and my life was entirely about my home and about my work. And it took me a while, like, almost a year, almost my son making 1 year is when I realized, like, wait, my life has literally stopped. And before, people would say that to me, and I felt like it didn't make sense. And sometimes they'll say that to me, and sometimes they'll say that behind my back. But it did make sense to me. For me, all I knew is I wanted to live in the moment and enjoy the moments with my child. And for me, it made sense to, have that kind of routine. And it took me a while to realize, like, okay, you know what? I want to live more beyond, my lifestyle as a family woman, and also at the same time as an employee. I used to hear about the mommy bubble. I never really understood it, but after I had a child, I understood it. And trust me, if someone doesn't like get you out of it, it is very easy for you to like just get like sucked up into it, and you can get lost in there for like many years. I know people who are like their whole lives literally becomes that, and I think my life was going to become that. So anyway, after a while, I decided to be more accepting. I accepted like more invitations, to go out. I accepted to be more open to, just kind of like live life a little bit like outside of my home. But detaching from a baby is not very easy. It's not very easy. And that's when you know that mom guilt is real, because you will literally want to go somewhere and you can stall like for 2 hours because you're just in between of like, should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? For me, I think my wake up call was one time my brother called me, and he invited me out there was a very nice place. It was a very beautiful restaurant. So he invites me out. And since I was more accepting of invitations, I hurried on there. I dressed up real quickly, and then I hurried to go. And I remember when I met him, there was a group of ladies there, like friends, and it's like a group of friends, of like, ladies and guys and whatnot. And I came and I sat there, and I was very excited to meet him, and we had a chat and whatnot. And then eventually I took a scan around the room, and all these ladies were dressed to kill, and they smelled nice. And then I looked at myself. I was wearing jeans. Oh, there's the plate. So let me just wait for that to go. So I looked at myself. Well, I didn't really look at myself, but I remembered how I looked at myself before I left home. I was wearing jeans and a t-shirt. And not like your jeans and t-shirt, like you're out like to go. But, the way these ladies were dressed, it made me look like, I don't know, I just dressed up maybe to like just chill at home. And I remember like feeling some type of way about myself that day. Now, meanwhile, my brother never made me feel at all uncomfortable. like it just made me feel welcome, and like everything was nice and positive. But it's me who saw myself in that moment, and I realized, like, wait, Flash, like, get yourself together. You need to do something about this. So that's when I woke up and I realized, like, okay, you know what, this is not it. Now, you could have thought that I could have caved and said, okay, you know what, I'm done, I'm not going to go out, I'm not going to do anything like this again. But instead, it got me to want even more to get into uncomfortable situations. So I now went on this venture where I wanted to be in situations with people who are better than me. So, like, go to places like where people get all dressed up. I wanted to go to places like, where people had like conversation, like people who are out there like doing things. Because I realized I had actually not been on the scene for a very long time. So I was so off. And just being around this people, I started admiring like women, like girls who are taking care of themselves, like people, like they're people you could see consistently their hair was never off, their nails were always on point, their outfits, like they looked like every day was just that kind of day. And I kept on asking myself, like, how do people be on every single day? And it got me curious into, identifying like who I was anymore. My fashion was not there at all at that time. And that's how I started being more out there. I started accepting more invitations. I started being out there more deliberately. I started even involving myself like in conversations. I realized people were being out there, people were being very ambitious. I met very ambitious young people, and it woke me up, and I realized, like, wait, man, you're putting all your dreams at bay because you feel like, okay, you know what, right now I'm a parent, I need to focus on that. And that's where I really like got, like my energy back. I realized, okay, you know what, I need to pursue my goals. And at first, I thought to myself, like, okay, am I sacrificing the things that I want to do because right now I'm a parent? And I realized, like, no, probably I was scared to do certain things at that time. But also at the same time, yes, I felt like I was sacrificing a lot. And I remember my mom did that for me. And truth is, it is not a very good idea, because when you sacrifice a lot for people, they become your joy. So you sacrifice yourself for your partner and for your child, they become your joy. And if they did anything to disappoint you, it's almost like your whole world has crashed, because you've put your happiness into this like individual, and it's just so overwhelming even for them to carry. So I knew for a fact that I had to take the responsibility. I had to take the responsibility of my own happiness, my own dreams, my own ambition, and go after that. And the moment I started that, I started with small steps. I went back, I enrolled and did my master's degree. I started like small entrepreneurship ventures here and there, things that got me curious. I was in there. I mean, right now I'm doing YouTube. There's so many things that I'm doing behind the scenes that I would not have been able to do if I had not had that moment, like that wake up moment. And now I'm a much more happier person. Like, my glass is full, and I can be able to give very well to the people around me, and still be able to be a nice parent, and also show a very good example for that, for my child that I'm raising, to show them that, because they're going to watch me make mistakes, they're going to watch me enjoy different ventures and maybe not enjoy some, and it will give them some lessons growing up. And I think I really value that as their lifelong experience. Oh, as you can see, the journey to finding yourself after you have a baby is not something that happens in one day. There are different conversations that you need to have with yourself in different stages, after you have your child. But one thing that you need to make sure is surround yourself with a very nice and positive environment. If you have your spouse, try to involve them more. I know sometimes women, we feel like, okay, because it's very natural for you to take care of the child, so you may sometimes be fearful to delegate tasks to your spouse because you don't want you're afraid they're going to make mistakes and stuff. But at the end of the day, they are a father, they will figure it out. You don't have to hassle them too much. Let them take on some of the weight of you, so that you can be able to slowly get back into the groove of things. Truth is, the world can stop when you have a child. And if you're not really deliberate about getting back out there, it can stop for a very long time. If you're a new mama and you're feeling lost, just let yourself be. Learn your ways to love yourself, because you're working on very uncertain grounds and you don't have to fix everything right away. Just be assured that you're going to find yourself in the midst of, in the midst of, the changing things and the changing environment. So if I can summarize all this up in how can I sum up like my entire journey? Surround yourself with people who are going to be of help to you, people who are going to kind of help you throughout the process. If it's like helping you maybe watch the child as you're able to go and figure out things that you need to do, or maybe like chase some goals. Surround yourself with such people. And then also speak to new moms. There is so much information you can get from people who have been through the same experience as you. Find out how people have been able to navigate like motherhood, and just learn the different things they've been able to do to cope. It is such a very big transition from one moment you're this young and wild and free human being, and then now all of a sudden you're tied to this one human being and they look to you for each and everything. It can be overwhelming. So gain some experience with people who have been out there, and then it can teach you a thing or two on how to cope going. The other thing which is very important is be very intentional about rediscovering yourself. You're not the same person anymore. You're now changing and evolving. So it is very important for you to try to discover who is this new person that I'm becoming. One thing that can also be very helpful for you is to write down your goals. Like, list them down. This is what I want to do. I would love to still achieve this. I would love to still do this. It will help to keep you accountable, but at the same time it will also remind you of the things that you want to do as an individual. And then also just like any other goal setting, get an accountability partner, someone who's going to keep you on the right track, to remind. If it can be your spouse, your friends, it can be if you have siblings who can also be supportive in that way. Get someone to keep you accountable. It will go a long way in changing your life in those first few. Then most importantly, encourage your spouse to give you as much support as possible. If sometimes as a new mom, you want to do everything by yourself. You feel like, okay, if I'm not there, then maybe something will go wrong. Just slowly let go and let other people come in and take a few responsibilities in there, just to give you a little bit of freedom, and for you to go out there and be a new mama who's goal setting, a new mama who's chasing after her dreams and still living. So guys, I really enjoyed sharing this video. It was quite personal, but just going through my own journey has also been very informative to me in terms of what I would want to do in the next time, like when I have another child, because every time you have a child, it's still the same process you have to go through. So if you're a new mama, I hope this information was really of help to you. And if you know a new mama out there, or someone who would find this information valuable, please share this video with them. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you subscribe to this video, because I can't wait to make content for you just like this. Make sure you leave me a comment in the comment section below in terms of what did you do to find yourself, how have you been able to rediscover yourself after having. I'm sure it's going to be very valuable information for everyone out there on this platform. But thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye guys.